When someone suddenly stops giving you importance, your mind goes into overdrive. You start replaying every conversation, every text, every interaction, trying to figure out where things went wrong. What did I do? Was I too much? Not enough? Did I say something that pushed them away? That feeling of being dropped, dismissed, or slowly faded out, it's like a quiet ache that lingers beneath everything you do. And here's the truth. It's easy to make it all about you. We immediately internalize their shift as a reflection of our value. But let me say this, just because someone has changed how they treat you doesn't mean your worth has changed. People are complex. They go through things, they lose focus, they get distracted by their own demons, their own fears, their own past. Sometimes they start to back away, not because you've done anything wrong, but because they weren't ready for what you bring. You might remind them of a level of emotional depth they're not equipped to handle. You might be too real for someone who only knows how to play games. And instead of admitting that, instead of saying, hey, I'm not in the place to meet you where you are, they just pull away, quietly, subtly, cowardly. That shift can make you feel powerless. But I want you to remember something. Their sudden silence, their emotional distance, that's not a mirror of your value. It's a reflection of their capacity. Still, it is a message, and it's not one you can afford to ignore. When someone stops giving you importance, it's not your job to chase, to perform, to audition for the role of worthy enough. Your only job is to pay attention, because people always tell you who they are, not always with words, but always with their energy. And when that energy shifts, you have to be tuned in enough to say, all right, I see you. Not in anger, not in desperation, but in awareness. See, one of the traps we fall into is believing that we can earn back someone's attention. We think, if I just remind them how good I am, how supportive I've been, how fun I was to be around, maybe they'll come back. But you're not a salesman trying to close a deal. You're a person worthy of love and consistency. You shouldn't have to remind someone of your value. They should recognize it. And if they don't, that's not your person. This is where your power comes in. When someone stops giving you importance, don't panic. Don't perform. Don't bend over backwards trying to resurrect a version of the connection that no longer exists. Instead, pause, observe, and ask yourself the one question that really matters. What is this behavior teaching me about them? Because if someone's behavior is showing you that they only show up when it's convenient, that their affection is conditional, or that they're more invested in the thrill of attention than the substance of connection, that's important information. That's clarity. And clarity, even when it hurts, is a gift. Let's also talk about emotional maturity. People who are emotionally mature will communicate when something shifts. They'll let you know if they're unsure, if they're struggling, if they need space. But emotional immaturity shows up in silence, in avoidance, in the slow fade out that leaves you confused and doubting yourself. That's not the kind of love you want to build your life around. Because the truth is, anyone can be warm and attentive when they want something. But real connection shows itself in how someone handles your heart when they're no longer sure of their own. That's why I say, pay attention to the moment someone starts treating you like an option. Not to overreact, not to dramatize, but to acknowledge that something has changed. And you deserve to ask yourself, is this the kind of energy I want to invest in? If you keep trying to get a response from someone who's no longer showing up, you'll start shrinking to fit into a space that was never built for you in the first place. You deserve someone whose interest doesn't disappear the moment the excitement wears off. Someone who's not just there for the high, but stays for the depth. And if someone can't see your value consistently, they were only seeing a version of you that served them, not the real you. And that realization might sting, but it's also a release. Let them go. Let them pull away if that's what they're choosing. Because the more space you give to the wrong energy, the less room you have for the real thing. You don't need someone who's unsure about you. You don't need someone who needs convincing. You need someone who chooses you every day without you having to shrink, shapeshift, or shout to be noticed. So if someone suddenly stops giving you importance, hear the message, not as an insult, not as a wound, but as a redirection. Sometimes the universe removes what you don't need before you even understand why. It's painful in the moment, but later you'll see it was the beginning of something better. You're not hard to love. You're just no longer available for inconsistent energy. When someone's energy toward you suddenly changes, when they stop calling, stop asking how you are, stop making time for you, it's natural to panic. You start asking yourself, what did I do wrong? You replay every conversation in your mind, every text you sent, wondering which one might have pushed them away. You overanalyze, you overthink, and before you know it, you're stuck in this exhausting loop of self-doubt. But here's the truth. When their energy changes, it's not your job to fight for your place in their life. It's not your job to compensate for their emotional withdrawal by giving more of yourself. In fact, the moment you feel someone stepping back is the moment you need to start stepping up for you. You don't chase, you observe. You match their effort not out of ego, not out of pride, but out of self-respect. See, we're conditioned to believe that love is something we prove, that we win someone's affection by showing how available, how caring, how devoted we can be. And don't get me wrong, those things are beautiful in a mutual relationship, but when you're the only one showing up, when you're pouring your energy into someone who's gone silent on you, that's not love. That's emotional self-abandonment. Matching someone's energy doesn't mean playing games. It doesn't mean being cold or manipulative. It means you're not going to give your all to someone who's giving you crumbs. If they text once a week, you don't respond with a paragraph of emotional depth the second they pop back into your life. If they stop making plans, you stop clearing your schedule for them. You mirror what they're giving you, not because you're trying to hurt them or get revenge, but because you're reminding yourself of what you deserve. Because here's what happens when you don't match energy. You end up carrying the emotional weight of two people. You start initiating every conversation, planning every date, holding space for someone who's not even showing up. That imbalance creates anxiety. It makes you feel like you're constantly chasing something just out of reach. And no matter how much you give, it never feels like enough because you're giving to the wrong person. The person who wants to be in your life makes it obvious. They don't confuse you. They don't ghost you and then come back acting like nothing happened. They don't make you question your worth. They show up consistently. They want to talk to you, spend time with you, understand you. And you'll know deep down when you're in the presence of someone who values you. But until that person shows up, don't lower your standards for the ones who don't. Matching energy is about aligning your effort with someone else's behavior. If they're hot and cold, you don't crank up the heat just to keep the connection alive. You stay centered. You let them reveal themselves. Because people will reveal themselves. Their patterns will tell you everything you need to know. If you're willing to stop romanticizing their potential and start paying attention to their actions. It's hard, I get it. Especially when you felt a spark, when you shared laughter, secrets, maybe even intimacy. You want to believe that what you felt was real, and maybe it was. But if that connection mattered to them, they wouldn't be acting like you're an option. They wouldn't suddenly withdraw without explanation. They wouldn't make you feel invisible. And this is where you reclaim your power. You stop chasing clarity from someone who's giving you confusion. You stop writing the story for both of you. If someone pulls away, let them. Let them create the distance. Because that space, that silence, it will either bring clarity or closure. And both are a gift. The person who's meant to stay in your life won't keep you guessing. They won't play with your emotions or disappear when things get real. They'll meet you in the middle, emotionally and energetically. And if someone isn't willing to meet you there, they're not your person. Full stop. So the next time someone's energy changes, instead of trying to fix it, match it, and then focus your energy where it's returned, on the people who are consistent, on the life you're building, on your passions, your purpose, your growth. The more you invest in you, the less you'll tolerate inconsistency from others. Because when you value yourself, you naturally stop begging others too. You deserve someone who's all in, someone who doesn't make you earn their attention or question their presence, someone who matches your energy without even thinking about it, because to them, it's effortless. That's the kind of connection you wait for. That's the kind of love that won't feel like work. So let them pull away. Let them show you where they stand. And while they're figuring it out, you stand tall, you stand proud, and you stand still, because the person who truly values you won't need to be convinced. Let their energy go and protect yours. You know, one of the most painful realizations in any connection, especially romantic ones, is when someone who once made you feel special suddenly starts treating you like you're just another person in their day. It's jarring. You feel like you're trying to grab onto something that's slipping through your fingers. And often, when that shift happens, we find ourselves asking, what did I do wrong? Did I say something? Did I miss a signal? But here's something to consider. Maybe you didn't do anything wrong. Maybe you're finally seeing the truth they've been trying to hide. You see, in the beginning of any relationship, romantic, platonic, or even professional, people tend to present the best version of themselves. Not necessarily out of manipulation, but because we're all trying to be liked. We want to impress. We want to create a spark. And that's not fake, it's just the highlight reel, the curated version. And that's okay, but over time, consistency reveals character. And when someone starts pulling away, when their effort drops, when your texts go unanswered longer than usual, when plans are suddenly too much for them, it's not that they've become someone else. It's that the version they showed you at first wasn't sustainable. They might have liked the idea of being close, the idea of being emotionally available, the idea of making you a priority. But when the reality of consistency kicks in, when showing up becomes a habit, not a performance, that's when their true level of investment comes to the surface. And I know it's disheartening because you're thinking, wait a minute, this person made me feel so wanted just a few weeks ago. They gave you compliments that made your heart race. They texted you good morning and good night. They talked about the future like it had a place for you in it. But now it's like they've emotionally ghosted while still technically being present. That disconnection, that shift, is the moment the mask falls. And that's not necessarily sinister. A lot of people don't even realize they're doing it. They're not trying to mislead you, but that doesn't mean you have to stay in a situation where you're constantly trying to win back the attention you used to get for free. What you're seeing now is who they are without the adrenaline of the newness, without the pressure to impress. And that version of them is what you need to pay attention to. Because if someone can only give you their best when it's convenient, but not when it counts, then they're not really showing up for you. They're showing up for how they feel about themselves when they're with you. And the moment that feeling fades, so does their effort. That's why I always say, when someone starts giving you less, don't fill in the gaps for them. Don't overcompensate. Don't send longer texts, make bigger gestures, or try to remind them of why they liked you in the first place. If they can forget your worth that quickly, they never truly saw it to begin with. Instead, take this moment as clarity, because clarity always comes. Sometimes it just shows up in the form of disappointment, but even disappointment is a gift when it reveals someone's truth. You don't have to decode mixed signals. Their pullback is the signal. You deserve someone whose consistency isn't conditional, someone whose interest doesn't shrink just because the excitement wore off. You want depth, not dopamine. And depth doesn't disappear after a few weeks of texting and flirting. Depth shows up in the way someone continues to value you, even when life gets busy, even when things aren't perfect, even when there's no chase left. So if someone stops giving you importance, don't chase that high. Don't beg for breadcrumbs when you were once given the whole loaf. Recognize it for what it is. the unmasking, the unveiling of their real capacity to connect. And yes, it's going to hurt, but the pain of clarity is always better than the confusion of illusion. Because now you're not chasing the fantasy, you're seeing the reality. And the moment you can see clearly, you can choose differently. You can protect your energy. You can stop investing in someone who only sees your value when it's exciting for them, and start investing in someone who values you because it's who they are. The shift in their behavior isn't your failure, it's their reveal. When someone suddenly stops giving you importance, it's easy to slip into panic mode. We replay every moment, analyze every message, wonder what we said, what we did wrong, and how we can fix it. It's a natural reaction. When we care about someone, we want to protect the connection. But in doing so, we often abandon the one person we should be protecting the most, ourselves. Here's the thing, when someone pulls away, they've already made a decision, consciously or unconsciously, to shift the dynamic. They may not be aware of how their change in behavior is affecting you, or they might be fully aware and simply not prioritizing how that makes you feel. Either way, your power lies not in trying to control what they're doing, but in how you choose to respond. This is the moment to reclaim your power. Let's be honest, when we start to feel someone slipping away, we tend to overcompensate. We send more messages. We try to be more agreeable. We tiptoe around their mood, hoping to win back the version of them that once made us feel special. But what we don't realize is that every time we do that, we shrink a little. We put our self-worth in the hands of someone who's already shown signs that they're not holding it carefully. Reclaiming your power isn't about playing games. It's not about pretending not to care or trying to manipulate them into wanting you again. That's not power. That's fear disguised as strategy. Real power comes from understanding that you are not defined by how someone else decides to treat you. Real power is rooted in self-respect. And when someone shows you that they're no longer prioritizing you, your job is not to work harder for their attention. Your job is to return home to your value, your dignity, and your peace. You can't control how someone shows up for you. You can only control whether you continue to show up for yourself in the process. That means resisting the urge to beg for crumbs of affection, resisting the temptation to lower your standards just to keep someone in your life. Because the truth is, if you have to chase it, it's not love, it's insecurity. And deep down you know that. You've felt it before. That hollow feeling of giving everything and receiving less and less in return. It's not just about romance. It's about energy, balance, and self-worth. And listen, it's okay to feel hurt. You're human. When someone suddenly pulls away, it does sting. It's confusing, it's frustrating, and it's painful. Don't suppress that. Let it come up. Feel it fully. But then you've got a choice. You can let that pain drive you into desperation, or you can let it drive you into deeper alignment with your own value. The moment someone makes you feel like an afterthought is the moment you need to remember you were never meant to be anyone's second option. And the people who truly see you, who truly care for you, will never make you guess where you stand. They'll show you consistently in the small things, in the way they make you feel safe. So when someone's behavior starts contradicting the way they used to treat you, take it as information, not as an insult, not as a reason to chase, but as clarity. Your time is a currency. Your energy is expensive. Start treating it that way. You don't need to beg anyone to recognize your value. You don't need to explain why you're worth consistent love and respect. The moment you do that, you're giving them a discount on something that was never meant to be cheap. Let them walk if they want to walk. Let them fade if they choose to fade. Don't anchor your identity to their attention. Instead, anchor yourself to your standards, to your truth, to the life you're building. You're not just someone waiting to be chosen. You are the chooser. And this right here is a chance to choose you. I know it's hard. I know that part of you wants to reach out again to fix it, to pull them back. But I want you to pause, breathe, And remember who you are when you're not begging for someone else to make you feel seen. Because that version of you, that version is magnetic. That version glows. That version knows that anyone who truly belongs in their life will never need to be chased. So when someone stops giving you importance, don't fight for the version of them that once made you feel valued. Instead, fight for the version of you that remembers you already are. Let them go so you can grow. When someone starts ignoring you or giving you less attention, less effort, less affection, it is communication. That's the part we tend to forget. We spend so much time trying to decode silence, trying to understand what went wrong, when in reality, the silence is the answer. See, human beings are incredibly expressive, even in their absence. When someone used to be consistent with you, used to call, text, check in, and suddenly all of that fades, don't be fooled into thinking it means nothing. We often make excuses. We tell ourselves maybe they're busy. Maybe they're just going through something. Maybe I did something wrong and don't even know it. And sure, life happens. People get busy. But nobody is ever too busy to stay in touch with someone they genuinely care about. Silence doesn't always scream, but it whispers the truth. And the truth is, if someone's interest in you starts to vanish without explanation, it's not your job to chase them for clarity. It's your job to accept what they're showing you. Now, I'm not saying this to make you cynical, quite the opposite. I'm saying this because I want you to value your time, your energy, and your emotional well-being. You deserve the kind of love that doesn't leave you guessing. You deserve to be around someone who makes their intentions known. Not someone whose every shift in mood sends you into a spiral of anxiety and self-doubt. And I get it, it hurts, especially when you've opened up, when you've invested, when you've let someone in. The sudden pullback feels like whiplash. You go from feeling connected to completely confused. You're left with more questions than answers. But let me ask you something. Do you really want to keep showing up for someone who disappears the moment things stop being convenient for them? We think silence is neutral, that it means we should wait, hang in there, be patient. But silence in relationships often carries a message. I'm not choosing you right now. That doesn't always mean they're a bad person. It just means their priorities are elsewhere. And instead of trying to bend yourself to fit into their life, ask yourself why you'd want to be an afterthought in the first place. We make the mistake of thinking that chasing will fix it, that maybe if we send the right text, say the right thing, prove how much we care, they'll snap back into who they used to be. But you're not supposed to have to convince someone to value you. You're not supposed to be a connection. And here's the truth. When someone stops giving you importance, the worst thing you can do is overcompensate, because the moment you start working harder to fill in the gaps they've left, you've already started eroding your own self-worth. You start teaching them that their inconsistency is acceptable, that you'll still be there regardless. And that's not love, that's abandonment in slow motion. Think about the people in your life who do show up. The ones who don't make you question your place with them. Contrast that with the person who goes quiet, who stops trying. Which of those people deserves more of your energy, more of your heart? It's easy to romanticize someone who's no longer around, to replay the good moments and forget the pain that came after. But memory is selective. It'll highlight the sparkle and blur out the shadows. So you have to stay grounded in reality, not in potential, not in version of them that existed for a short time. And here's something powerful to remember. Just because someone stops giving you importance doesn't mean you stop having value. Your worth isn't dictated by how someone else treats you. If anything, the way someone treats you reveals more about them than it does about you. You're still whole. You're still enough. You're still deserving of someone who is sure about you. Sometimes silence is a test, not of patience, but of self-respect. Will you lean into it, wait endlessly, hold on to the echo of what was, or will you take it as your cue to walk towards something better? Because trust me, What's meant for you won't come in hot and vanish. It won't leave you in emotional limbo. You have to be strong enough to let go when someone has already let go of you. And I know that's not easy, but staying in the waiting room of someone else's indecision is not where your future is. It's not where love is, and it's not where peace lives. The next time someone's silence starts to hurt you, don't run toward it. Don't fill the space with assumptions or desperate attempts to re-engage. Instead, stand still, observe, reflect. Let their silence speak and then respond. Not with panic, not with pleading, but with because your job isn't to chase clarity from someone who left you in the dark. Your job is to become so clear on your own value that when someone stops giving you importance, you don't need their explanation to move on. Let silence, close the door. They were too afraid to shut themselves. You know, when someone suddenly stops giving you importance, it's painful, it stings in a way that's hard to explain because it's not just about their absence, it's the emotional whiplash. 1 minute they're present, warm, maybe even saying all the right things. The next, distant, cold, unavailable. And you're left wondering, what went wrong? What did I do? Did I say something? Was I too much? Not enough? But here's something I want you to consider. Really take this in. When someone pulls away or stops making you a priority, it can feel like rejection, and rejection hurts. But often what we call rejection is actually redirection. It's life clearing space for something better, someone more aligned with where you're going, not just where you've been. See, most of us have been conditioned to hold on, to fix, to understand. We dive into detective mode. Maybe they're just busy. Maybe they're going through something. Maybe I need to give it time. And sure, sometimes people do have moments. Life gets chaotic. People get overwhelmed. But consistent emotional unavailability? A sharp drop in effort? That's not a phase. That's a message. And the longer we stay waiting for someone to return to who they were in the beginning, the more we delay meeting someone who can show up now. Sometimes the greatest gift life gives you isn't the person who walks in, it's the one who walks out. Because here's the truth most people don't tell you. When someone stops valuing you, they're creating an opportunity for you to value yourself more deeply. They're giving you the chance to look at your standards, to ask yourself, what am I really accepting here and what am I actually worth? You were not meant to fight for someone's crumbs. You were not born to audition for love, to prove you're worthy of effort, attention, or consistency. The right connection doesn't make you feel like you're constantly trying to earn your place in someone's life. It makes you feel safe, seen, significant. Now, I get it. It's not easy. We all have moments where we replay the conversations, scroll through old texts, hold on to memories of who someone was when they were trying, when they were showing up. And it's easy to confuse that version of them with who they truly are. But someone's past effort doesn't justify their current neglect. It's like holding on to an expired ticket, hoping it'll still get you into the show. It won't. And every moment you spend waiting for them to change, to come back, to suddenly realize your value is a moment you're not available for the person who will never need convincing. Sometimes we hold on because we're scared of the space their absence creates. We think if they're not here, we're left with emptiness. But emptiness isn't always bad. Emptiness can be peaceful. It can be healing. It can be the quiet before something extraordinary arrives. You might not see it yet, but life is trying to do you a favor. It's removing what's inconsistent. It's eliminating the guesswork. Because love shouldn't be a riddle. You shouldn't have to decode someone's silence or analyze why they stopped replying with the same energy. The moment someone makes you question your importance, they've already answered the question. And this isn't about being bitter. It's not about holding resentment or playing the blame game. No. It's about choosing clarity over confusion, dignity over desperation. It's about realizing that not everyone who comes into your life is meant to stay. Some are here to teach you something. Some are here to mirror where you need boundaries. And a rare few are here to stay and grow with you. But in order to find those people, the ones who truly see you, you have to be willing to let go of the ones who don't. You have to be willing to close a door that no longer opens for you. And yes, that can be heartbreaking, especially if you imagined a future with them. But your future doesn't live in someone else's indecision. It lives in your ability to honor what you deserve, even when it hurts. Letting go isn't weakness, it's power. It's the quiet strength of someone who knows, I'd rather be alone with my standards than together with my self-worth compromised. So when someone suddenly stops giving you importance, don't beg, don't chase, don't shrink. Stand tall, take the message for what it is, and then shift your energy, because you are not being abandoned. You're being redirected away from confusion, away from one-sided effort, and toward a connection that makes you feel loved, respected, and prioritized.